What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I have a question from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all social media platforms listed above. This is the last like big slate that we got before the All-Star break. Yesterday we had a like scroll of 100 on the Wise stream. We didn't quite get there, but I know you guys were grinding. You were trying. I wasn't in a given mood today. So we did make the projections free. Again, they don't look like what you see on the screen. It's just a visual, but the actual projections within, as I make adjustments to these projections, they're available for you to download for free on the site. Just go to wisetake.com and go to NBA projections, choose if you want FanDuel or DraftKings, and you could download them, whatever. They're updated. When I make a change, it instantly goes in. So it's, as we make changes on the show, if you want those changes reflected, if you didn't make them yourself, you can just refresh the page and re-download them, whatever the deal might be. Do what you will. Give it a shot. But these are the projections that I make, that I use, that are available for our WiseTake Nation members. Shout out to the Nation. We love the Nation. I've seen a lot of good screenshots, man. Shout out to Rocksteady, one of the cash game grinders. He's been doing well. One of our cash game writers, Shribeezy's been doing well. Stevie's been doing well. So the cash game stuff's been good. And the tournament stuff, man, we got guys that are either popping or getting close, or, it's come to a point where, like, we get excited when we see a guy post like a comma screenshot, but at the same time, like, a lot of times it ends up being like, oh man, but you were just this close to like a five digit score, a 5-digit payout or whatever. So it's been fun, it's been real, and those of you on the YouTube Nation who have been hanging out with us on all these shows, we do appreciate you. One of the reasons we decided to make them free today is just for all the support. We know. We're working up against some of these other companies that have a couple more resources to overtake the market. But we're fighting, man. That's what we do, because we're real people. That's just at the end of the day, we're real people, just like you. I even got my little cup with my coffee in it. Just like you. That's real shit. But if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. Hit the notifications bell so you don't miss anything. We do Monday through Friday. We do a few shows a day, 2 to 3 shows a day for NBA. Plus, we have PGA tonight going. We're going to have an XFL show for week 2. We got a lot going on in general. It's a good time. It's a good time to be playing DFS. It's always a good time to be playing DFS, though, right? We've got a big slate, so I'm not going to waste too much time. We're still waiting on a lot of news. We're still waiting on a lot of news to come out. Pretty important. I know Kevin Love is questionable. Serge Ibaka is questionable. And those two are pretty important to me because of where their prices are. We'll get into that in a little bit of a second. I did lower Kevin Love recently, but earlier in the day I was getting a lot of him when I was being aggressive with his minutes. So if he's ruled in, I may have to put that back, and he may end up being decent. Shout out to Kyle Bogart in the YouTube chat. What up? Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. He said, what up, man? 10 points? My eyes are bad. What up, man? 10 points from taking it all down. Still a good night, though. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, you're happy you had a good night, but it's coming to a point where guys are just falling short of some monster scores. So shout out to you. What up, Chris Cox, aka Stacks? What's up? Smash and Dame gonna go God mode today, and he needs this win bad, and it's versus the Grizzlies 8th seed. Smash, and I'm with you, bro. I get a little spoiler alert for the second half of the show. Paulie D. Paulie D has a rule with Dame. Whenever Dame is on the road, whenever he's an underdog, and he's playing a team that defends the center fairly well, which Joval, I think, does. Not so much when Joval's not in, but as long as Joval stays in, they do. Then he's going to love Dame. And Memphis has been terrible against point guards. They're a top 10 team in pace. Very high total. I'm with you. I'm with you. My core article's up, and spoiler alert, he's in there. So we'll do the dirty, so I'm with you, smashing. William said, that's why I mess with WiseTake some real dudes. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate all you guys that come and hang out with us. So we're going to go game by game. Again, the guys, the projections are free on the site. Let's go get them. We're just doing it for a day. Gonna do the dirty. Shout out to Jamis, who says, you guys do a great effing job. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. We've been here for a little while. Last year I had some hardship, which led some family hardship, which led to a little bit of a decline of the content, which led to us kind of falling off a little bit in terms of how often we could do the content, the quality of the content. But we've been back at it, man. We're like 4 years strong. This is our 4th year, I think, doing this. We've been here. We've been doing it. And we're getting better and better every year, and I feel it. And we're getting more support from the nation, man. Quality listeners, quality viewers, quality members. That's what it's all about. So we do it for. At the end of the day, we always say it, we're a premium DFS content provider, but more importantly, a DFS community, right? to help make everybody better. So let's get into it. We've got some Vegas action. The first game we're going to start with is going to be the Atlanta Hawks visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have a 234.5 total. That's up 1.5 points from 233. The Hawks are currently 2-point favorites at home. I'm going to pull up Mr. J. Irv's schedule notes here right quick. Nothing crazy. I think both teams are working with a day's rest. But I'm just going to pull up the notes. The schedule notes is an article that our boy J. Irv does for us. He did skip a game today by accident, but it happens from time to time. But he does this every day. It's a free article. I recommend you guys start your day by looking at it. Just go in there and you could have an idea. For example, I thought Cleveland was working with 1 day rest. So Atlanta's on 1 day rest, a 4-6 situation. Cleveland has had 2 days off. So we're still waiting on the status of Kevin Love. There's some variables we're waiting for. As far as the Atlanta side, do some sort action real quick before I get into this. I'm just gonna resort it after the changes we've made. So Trae Young is the one that stands out the most to me in terms of the studs. He's the next point guard stud that I like after Damian Lillard. I do like Lillard more as of right now, but he's in a similar situation, right? He plays big minutes, the usage is massive, and he's got a phenomenal cupcake matchup against Cleveland, who is not necessarily fast, but one of the worst defensive teams in the league, particularly against point guards. It's not a bad situation for Collins either. On FanDuel, I'm fine with him. On DraftKings, it's kind of hard to reach at 9-1. It really is. We have value. You can get it if you want it. It's just you feel once you're up there that there's better options below and above. So I have a hard time getting there. I think he will be very low owned on DraftKings, though. Dwayne Dedmon would be the other one that kind of stands out. We have a lot of centers and power forwards that are in that range, like 5'6" and down. So I don't know how much we actually get to him. He's played 28 minutes in both games, even in the double overtime game. So it was pretty easy to project him for 28 minutes and just assume that he's going to continue to get that. Maybe he gets a little bit more. It's possible. But with him there and Damian Jones playing minutes, it just seems like Collins is going to get less and less minutes at the 5. So I'm not against him. Again, on FanDuel at 7-8, I think it's fine. He's been balling. Same thing with Herter on DraftKings at 6-2. I'm not really interested. Unless I was doing like a game stack. If you're doing a game stack of this game, you can play all 3 of these guys. Go for it. But we do got Cam Reddish back. They're slowly getting bodies, right? Nothing crazy. I still think these guys play their minutes, and I projected them accordingly. Looks like Mike Conley has been ruled out. Mike Conley's been ruled out, so we have to make an adjustment there. Maybe another Clarkson day. With that said, it's that's really, it's really Trae Young is the main one for me today. And then John Collins on FanDuel, like I said. On the Cleveland side, they're the ones getting paced up in this situation. It is projected to be a close game. Again, if Kevin Love is in, his price on FanDuel is soft. On DraftKings, he's definitely within range. We still haven't really, the only game Drummond played in, the Clippers just destroyed him. So we still haven't gotten a full sample of what these guys are going to look like rotationally, what impact they're going to have on each other. We would assume that Drummond is going to be a better rebounder than Thompson, which could affect Love's upside. But, really, when Love is going, you want those threes to be flying. So, I don't think Love is going to play. I don't see why he would. Cleveland knows they're not playing for nothing. You got one game, and then you have a whole All-Star break, right? So, but I don't know. They are home. Maybe they want to give the home crowd a little something and have Kevin Love play with Drummond. Not sure. Colin Sexton is interesting, especially if Love gets out. If Love gets rolled out, all these other guys become more interesting. Drummond becomes more interesting. He's cheap on DraftKings at 9.4. We would raise his minutes a little bit just to reflect the boost. And it's Atlanta, right? Dedmon's not going to change them being bad against centers. They're going to still be bad. Dedmon was on the Kings. Every team he's been on, the opposing teams have smashed at center. So I'm good with Drummond, man. The only issue is there's a lot of expensive stud centers that are attractive. It's just that there's a few guys in the mid-range that I'm falling on a lot. I think maybe if Ibaka gets ruled out, it'll help me get to some of these guys. But you'll see when it comes to the pricing and projections where I'm kind of struggling. I'm trying to be conservative with some of those people, but they're still ended up in the team. So we'll see. But if Love is out, I think Sexton gets a boost, of course. Larry Nance has already been announced as the starter if Kevin Love were to be ruled out. I don't know how interested I am. On FanDuel at 4-5, it's cool, but we have a lot of guys that are really cheap over there. On DraftKings at 5-1, he falls in the range where we have other options, but it is a pace-up spot. I don't have any problems getting Nance. I just, we got to see how, if it's a situation, if Love's even ruled out, we got to see how he's going to play with Drummond. But, Drummond, sure, one of the top studs for sure, and I'm good with Sexton. These guys are going to play minutes. One other guy, if Love gets ruled out, we can keep an eye on Kevin Porter Jr. I would anticipate his minutes to go up, and he's pretty close to that mark on DraftKings to where we start getting some of him. So just keep an eye on that situation. We're going to go to the next game. We've got Detroit visiting Orlando, in which should be a very slow-paced game. We got a very low total in this one. Nothing exciting. I think it's Detroit's working with a day off. Orlando working with a day off. Detroit in the midst of a 4-6. But still working with a day off. We have a 208.5 total. It has risen 3 points since the open. It opened at 205.5. Orlando opened up -7.5. They're now to -7. We do know that Detroit is going to have Svi, Mihajlovic, and Derrick Rose back. They're both going to be on minutes limits. I'm surprised they're even bringing them back at this point. Maybe they just wanted to get their other guys some rest. I'm not sure, but they're both going to be on minute limitations, for what I understand. And that kind of just sucks because they're not really options if they're going to be limited, and it may take away from some of these other players. I'm not like I do think Reggie Jackson is still in play. The usage for him has been great. Even when Rose was playing, Reggie's usage was still fine. And you got to factor that Drummond is gone. So I'm okay with Reggie. He's not my favorite point guard. There's a few other guys I like a little bit more, just that appear to be in better spots. But I know his ownership is going to be really low. On FanDuel at 5,400, the price is enticing. His floor is low because he's going to have to shoot. And, I mean, we just saw him have another one of his 1-for-12 type outings. But that was a game, obviously, they were in a real tough part of the schedule on a back-to-back. And, it wasn't just him. A lot of guys looked ass cheeks. Christian Wood's interesting because I think his ownership's going to be really low, but I'm kind of interested, man. I mean, he's going to be messed up. You figure with, maybe they try to go back to the Kem Birch thing to match up because Wood's been playing at the 4 to start the game. So they may try something like that. Even if they do, I'm really not worried against Wood. If not, what are they going to do, play Aaron Gordon down there? So I think that I think it's an okay spot for him, man. I think the usages look good. We know Rose is going to have an impact, but if anything, Rose may help him as someone who could drive to the hole and maybe open some things up. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Wood's minutes are here to stay. I think he's going to play big minutes because they want to see what he's got and really give him some run. Markieff Morris is an option off the bench. Always be on the lookout in case he were to start. But again, with Svi coming back, it really kind of and Rose coming back, it's going to affect the minutes of I think everyone at least a little. Especially Bruce Brown, who's been playing a ton of minutes. I think he's probably going to see a decent impact. As far as Thon Maker, man, it's fine if you want to go there again. We have a lot of centers. He's not that cheap anymore. We got Dedmon at the same price, so I think I prefer. But I'm not going to talk bad about the dude because he keeps going out there and making me look dumb as hell. But yeah, on the Detroit side, it's mainly Christian Wood for me as the person I realistically reach. I don't mind Reggie. I just don't think I get there because there's a lot of point guards I like, starting with Damian Lillard and Trae Young, to name a couple. The Orlando side, it's a slow-paced game. You know what it is. It's a good spot for Vooch, but his price is up. I think it's a fine spot for all of them, really. Detroit's defense is terrible. It's just a very slow-paced game in general. We have 11 games on this slate. It's hard for me to imagine I can't find better plays in some of these other games. Aaron Gordon would be a top option. On FanDuel, a little more interesting at 6'3". At 6'9" on DraftKings, it seems tough. Same thing with Fournier at 6K. So I'm okay with Orlando. I'm not mega interested. We know Mo Bamba's out, so I do got to make an update for that. So let me just make a quick little thing here so that we have a note to update that. Mo Bamba. That was the biggest news I think we've gotten so far, unfortunately. A guy that doesn't play much anyway. So we'll see. We may throw a couple minutes to Vooch, or a minute or two. There's not a ton to work with. He doesn't usually play more than what we've got him listed at, but obviously it may open up some things for some of these bench dudes. So we'll see. The starting lineup is changing per matchup. I'm not crazy interested anyway. We'll go to the next game, and then I'll take a pause and take a look at the chat real quick, talk to you guys a little bit. I'm talking to you guys. Y'all who I'm talking to, but you know what I mean. Like, I'll interact. I'm just trying. We have a lot of games, so I'm trying to make sure we stay on a good pace. We got the Washington Wizards visiting the New York Knicks. We have a 227.5 total, down from 228.5. The Knicks opened up -2.5. They're up to -3 at this point at home. So for Washington, it's the back end of a back-to-back in the midst of a 4-6 stretch. New York's had 2 days off. So the last game was a double overtime game against Atlanta, but they have been off for 2 days since then. Let's pull up some Washington action. Looks like we got the starting lineup for the Magic. It'll be, they're going to put Gordon on Wood. I mean, maybe it's a difficult on the other end also for maybe for Gordon. It's a good thing, but I would think for Wood. I mean, Wood is like he's like a big. He's like, you know what I mean? I don't know, but they're gonna start Fultz, Fournier, Wundu, Gordon, and Vooch. So I'm cool with Wood. Cool with him. All right, on the Washington side, so Mo Wagner did play the minutes that we were hoping he was going to play. Unfortunately, we weren't really rewarded for having some of him. The usage was kind of down. He was efficient, just didn't really grab the boards and just really wasn't great. It was kind of disappointing. I mean, he's at a similar price point today, and he projects really well. Oh, Kevin Love just got ruled out as we expected, so let me make a note of that right quick. So Kevin Love ruled out. So we'll give a boost to Drummond. He should look better in the projections. I'll let you guys know in the second hour when I actually update them. I'll let you guys know when they're as fresh as can be. And I'm doing it from there. You know the deal. I'm not going to repeat myself, but you guys know. Troy Brown for value. Oh, so going back to Mo Wags, he could do it. Earlier in the season, we saw the upside he had. And I think he's the one that they would like to play at the moment while Bryant's out. So I'm cool with him again for value. I was a little conservative with his projection because if I project him for 27 like he got last night, you're gonna get like 100% of him. So trying to be cautious because of the fact that he hasn't really shown that same upside since before he got hurt. But someone to keep in mind. We've seen the Knicks get blown up by bigs at times. Troy Brown is okay. His minutes were down in the last contest. He's 4,200 on DraftKings, 44 on FanDuel. It's fine. It's just okay. There's nothing really here that got me excited. I mean, Bradley Beal, if you notice, his minutes 34 in the last two contests. I mean, we want Beal if he's getting them 38, 39s, and it doesn't look like he's getting that right now. It is the Garden where shooters typically perform a little bit better. But as of right now, it is what it is. So not a ton that I wanted from Washington. And it kind of worries me because there's not a ton on the Knicks either, you'll see. It's just the numbers aren't matching up. I mean, the total's going down, so I guess that's a better sign. But it is a relatively high total, especially for the Knicks. But believe it or not, the Knicks have been one of the better defensive teams. That could be because of pace or maybe luck. I don't know. But Paulie D told me earlier, man, the Knicks are actually one of the top teams lately in terms of defensive metrics, which is kind of insane. But on the Knicks side, Mitch Robinson could be interesting. Again, he's at a competitive position at a price range where it is also competitive. His minutes are very up and down. It's hard to take the risk. RJ Barrett would be a phenomenal value play if we thought his minute restriction was up, but he seems to be somewhat limited. We gave him a little bit more today, assuming they'll give him like a minute or two extra. But unless we hear that there's no minute, if we hear there's no minute restriction, I'll come back in here and I'll raise those to where they should be because he was playing monster minutes earlier in the year. Obviously, he got hurt, and the All-Star break's coming up, so it seems like why would you do that? But that makes me a little reluctant. Elf, man, I mean, he's projected massively because he had that run of just awesomeness, but it's tough to reach for low ownership purposes. He'll be crazy low owned because everybody's going to have him projecting something like this. He doesn't really play more than 30, 31 minutes. He's got triple-double upside in certain matchups. This could be one of those matchups. It's fast-paced, not a good rebounding team on the other end, so it's possible. We know the usage has been up without Marcus Morris. But we have seen them also work in DSJ and Frank Nitti, and RJ Barrett is back, who also sometimes plays some point guard. So just in general, for Elf, it's just hard to really give him more minutes. Randall's another one. His price is way up. It was up in the last contest, and of course that goes to double overtime, and he smashes it, so he's up once again. It's a great matchup for him. Ownership's going to be real low. I got nothing bad to say about it other than his price is up, and according to his projection, and we have him aggressively put at 36 minutes, it's going to be tough to reach. I mean, we can afford to. It's a position that I'm not in love with to begin with, so I guess it's, at least not the range up here. But I guess for ownership purposes, it's something we should note. Maybe give him a little something extra. Maybe give him a little something extra to help because he's actually not as far off as I thought he would be on DraftKings, 44. So like 5.1, yeah, it didn't do much. We'd have to give him a little bit more than that because he's expensive, but somewhat to consider. I'm not in love with anything here, but it is actually not supposed to be a bad game. I'm gonna pop in the chat real quick, say what up to some of my peoples right here. Yeah, Gordon starting at the 4. Bro, MG, I know MG says you're projecting Reggie at 33. Damn, I know what you mean, but look, man, his usage has been awesome. Everything, it's been everything. What are some of the obvious cash plays on DraftKings? That to me, that all depends on what the ownership looks like. I've seen some different sources. We're still waiting on like very important news. I think that in terms of value, who was? I mean, it seems like Diallo might be that guy. We'll talk about that later. I don't want to, when we bring Paulie on, we'll talk about some of the, the plays we like in those answers and all that kind of stuff. Chris Tachi says, which fantasy site is the biggest dumpster in your opinion? Oh, yeah, man. MG says CK's not going to answer that. He know, bro. Hey, man, I'm not here to shit on nobody, We're just here to do dirties. We're worried about ourselves. We're not worried about the people. We're here to do our thing, right? This is like the coach, the player speech in the locker room, coach's speech in the locker room, right? We ain't worried about them other dudes. We ain't worried about anybody but us. That's all we care about. We just want to win. It doesn't mean I want them to lose. It just means I want to win. You know what I mean? All right, so let's get into the next one. Chuck, I appreciate you, bro. Every day I see you in there asking everybody to hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot, so I do appreciate it. Johnny Meyer says Gordon's starting at the 4. Yes, sir. Yes, he is. I think Wood is interesting. I really do. I really, really do. All right, let's go to the next game. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. Milwaukee Bucks and Indiana Pacers. We've got both teams working with a day of rest. We have a 222.5 total. The Bucks opened up as 1-point favorites. They're now 1-point underdogs on the road. Looks like some reverse line movement. 78% of the bets on Milwaukee. So on FanDuel, they're really, really daring you to play Ilyasova, Bledsoe, and Middleton again. And I can't really argue much against it because of the usage. I've got their projections jacked up. Obviously, I know the minutes look high. I know they don't play these many minutes. I'm just trying to incorporate for the usage bumps that they're getting. So Bledsoe and Middleton on both sides, and Illy. I got no arguments. If you're playing FanDuel, if you want to come to this spot, the one thing I'll say is this spot I don't believe is as good as the spot they were in last time. They played a faster pace, or they played the Kings, who are not very good defensively. This time they are playing Indiana, who I know they've slipped up at times, but they do have some defenders between Victor Oladipo, Malcolm Brogdon, definitely not TJ Warren. But you got to get Miles Turner's a guy that is not great against centers, but he can block. He can at least protect the rim to a degree, right? I still think Middleton and Bledsoe on FanDuel, it would be very hard for me to get away from. Very, very hard. And Ilyasova too, to be honest. The one thing with Ilya is we have another punt power forward, but you could punt power forward completely today over there, I think. On DraftKings, obviously Bledsoe is a guy that I'll reach. I'll get some. Middleton is a guy that I want to intentionally kind of get some of. I don't want to go overboard because it's not the right matchup. See, me personally, I'm probably going to settle more for, because we have another situation similar to this, right? In the Toronto Raptors game. So on the Brooklyn side, Kyrie Irving's out, which I know he's not as high pumping of a dollar as a guy like, Giannis, but he plays more minutes than a guy like Giannis typically on a night in, night out basis. With that said, Levert's price on really both sides, but on DraftKings he's like 6'6", and Dinwiddie's under 8K. So I don't mind Bledsoe here. Like Bledsoe and Dinwiddie, I'm okay with choosing Bledsoe over him if you want to do that. But I think the Toronto game, I'm expecting that to be a little bit of a better overall game. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I kind of like Levert more than Middleton. I know on really it matches up, right? Levert's a small forward eligible on DraftKings, and shooting guard on FanDuel, same thing as Middleton. So that's kind of where I am. I don't mind it. People may hop off of this, and some people may want to take advantage of the fact that they're not going to be as popular today as they were. On FanDuel, that's not the case. On FanDuel, they will be chalk. On DraftKings, though, that's going to be something you have to make a decision on in your head. I would have to really jack his projection up to get him to give me a significant amount at 4.6. And look at it. I know, look at his game log. He's been great, but this is a little bit of a different game, a little bit of a different opponent. And that may be a good thing. It's also going to be a more competitive opponent. You would expect more of a potential playoff matchup than the Kings. They don't give a fuck about the Kings. You know what I mean? So that's my take on that. As far as the Pacers go, so Oladipo on DraftKings, I'll probably play some again. What am I going to do? I mean, the usage is great. He's been one of the worst shooters in the game. We don't expect that to continue. He's getting 28 minutes. I didn't want like 80% of him, so I lowered his minutes a little bit. I already have like a manual boost for him in there to reflect what his usage should be. Because if you just project him for what he's done this year, which is a very small sample, he's been ass, and he's not going to project well even at this price. So you got to incorporate. This is a price, 27 minutes at this price. I mean, you would kill for that last year. I know it's not at the same. He's coming back from an injury, but the usage is there, so it's promising. Malcolm Brogdon's probably my favorite play from the game. This is a revenge spot. It's more about his price. I understand with Oladipo back, his usage and all that's kind of up in the air. He's coming off a really bad game, but I think that's really all it was. It was just a bad game. So on FanDuel, he's real cheap. His ownership would be low over there. On DraftKings, he may be a little more popular, but I'm not really worried about it. I do like Brogdon. I'll have a good amount of him. And I think TJ Warren's interesting too against Milwaukee, man. I mean, with no Giannis down there, it always helps the team on the other side when Giannis ain't there. It always helps. Dude is just a big athletic freak. It is, So I'm actually okay with Warren. I think the minutes have been fine. I thought Depot would affect him more, but until Depot plays better, they got to do what they got to do. One thing I noticed on FanDuel is Jeremy Lamb is like 3,800. That's pretty wild. I mean, listen, with Oladipo there, he's taking his spot, but Oladipo is still limited, so Lamb is still going to get like 26 minutes. So on FanDuel at 3,800, I don't think it's a terrible idea to try it. Sabonis on FanDuel is also, I think, a pretty good price play. 8,100 for him with his upside, with no Giannis on the other side. They're going to be paced up by Milwaukee. On DraftKings, 9,800 is obviously tough to reach. It's going to be hard to get up there because you're choosing him at that point over the other studs, over Drummond, over Cat, even some of the other guys. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I mean, without Giannis, this sets up pretty nice for him. I don't know who's going to stop him. Miles Turner, unfortunately, he didn't even close last game. He was playing well against Brooklyn. He didn't even close. I don't know why. I mean, he was doing well. But that's going to be hard to touch. So it's mainly Oladipo and Brogdon. A little bit of Warren action I think I get. On FanDuel, again, I think Sabonis is fine. More than fine. Next up, we got the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets. So Larry Nance will start. Yeah, we knew that already. Bembry's available to play. That's been a while. So they're getting a little more thin. I'm sorry, a little less thin. Opposite. So let's pull up Toronto. Toronto at the Nets. Toronto working with a day off in the midst of a 4-6. Brooklyn also working with a day off. We have a 223.5 total. That is down 1.5 points. Not the greatest sign. The Toronto Raptors opened up -3.5. We're waiting on the Ibaka news. And the last slate Toronto was on, Ibaka got ruled out late because he was sick. And all his teammates went nuts. Siakam balled out. His price is now up, though. Lowry balled out. His price is now up, though, at least on DraftKings. Van Fleet on FanDuel is already appealing. He would be even more appealing if that were to happen. OG Anunoby got a ton of minutes with Ibaka out, and so I would be ready to load up on him again, assuming they would do the same thing. Boucher didn't play a ton. That kind of sucked, but RHJ did, and this would be a revenge spot for RHJ, who played for the Nets for a while, so even at 4-4 and 4-3, I don't think that's high enough for his role on this team playing down low against a bad rebounding and defensive team. So I'm waiting for news, man. The problem is if Ibaka is in, this is a pretty good spot. Now the last time these guys played, DeAndre Jordan has closed last 2 games. So the last time these guys played, which was only 2 games ago, DeAndre Jordan closed, and Ibaka had one of the worst games he's ever had against Brooklyn. He normally has done well over his career, so that is something to keep an eye on. I mean, if he plays, I already got him projected for 31 minutes or so. That's pretty low. If he does play, you expect him to get at least 32 to 33. So maybe we'll lower it some just to get some balance, but I'm kind of hoping he's just ruled out. And if he does, like I said, it's really RHJ and a Anunoby that I'll be the most interested in. And I'll be more inclined to work in some Lowry and Van Fleet. I would be a lot more inclined to do it on FanDuel, on DraftKings. We just have a lot out there. It's just a real big slate. A lot of guards I like. So I don't know. Now, the Brooklyn side of this, I like a lot. I like Karis LeVert a ton on both sites. Probably my favorite small forward. I don't like him as much as a point guard, obviously, on DraftKings, but he's small forward eligible. That's where I like him. He's played awesome, man. Him and Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie's getting big minutes. I like him and Dinwiddie both. I think it's a comparable. It's comparable to to the Milwaukee Pacers situation. You could argue that this game is slightly better. I mean, it's got a 1 point higher total. But yeah, they're at home, the Nets. The problem, my one worry is that they both did really well in the last time they saw these guys in Toronto. So, they always, what do you expect, the same exact result? Not necessarily, but kinda, just because of their usage right now. Both of them have phenomenal usage rates. So, I do like LeVert. I think that's going to be a little contrarian. I haven't seen him really in a lot of projections, and I had to do a lot to get him projected up here. His projection on the year is relatively low, but comparing what he did before with Kyrie in compared to what he does now is just not even close. I mean, not just from a minute standpoint, usage, more more usage when he is on the court. Like the minutes are more quality minutes, all that stuff. So I like those guys, and I think that DeAndre Jordan's worth keeping an eye on, man. This is 2 straight games where he came off the bench, but still he played most of the third quarter, and then like or he came in the third quarter at some point and played like all the fourth. So if he's going to continue to close in a matchup against Toronto, with or without Ibaka, Toronto without Gasol is going to be bad against bigs for the most part. So I think DeAndre Jordan can rack up a ton of rebounds. He's been playing again 28, 29 minutes, and he's been smashing. So we got him at 26 conservatively. If I gave him so much as 27 or something like that, he would be popping as one of the best plays on the slate. So just something to keep in mind. We'll make a decision on that. We'll try to talk it out later. But we have a lot of guys around that price range. That's what I was saying. It's kind of deep at that price range, at that position, as well as power forward. Taurean Prince looking okay. Not a guy that I typically trust. And we have other guys who seem, I don't know, like better bargains, like PJ Washington, maybe James Johnson. It's just other guys. He just doesn't do a lot for me. It's really just those two, Dinwiddie and LeVert. And LeVert, I like a lot. So hopefully I'm not wrong about that, or I'll be taking a serious bet tonight. I'm not going to be no 80% or anything like that. It's not that crazy. Maybe be a little dramatic. One more game and I'll check on the chat. We got the Portland Trailblazers visiting the Memphis Grizzlies. Portland. We've got a 235 total, which is one of the higher ones, of course. Is it the highest? Yes, the highest. 235. I like it. Portland, currently 3.5-point underdogs. They were 4.5. Now they're 3.5-point underdogs. Schedule-wise, it's certainly a mismatch against Portland. Portland's in a really tough stretch of their schedule right now. We've seen a couple teams that Denver got through this, and I think the Rockets got through it, but it's a back end of a back-to-back. Not only a 4-6, but a 5-7. So they played a back-to-back. They played a 4-6, followed by another back-to-back immediately. So a very tough part in the schedule. Meanwhile, for Memphis, they've had 2 days off. Portland got destroyed yesterday against New Orleans. Memphis, this game's important, right? I think Memphis has the 8 seed. We were talking about it in the chat earlier. I think Memphis has the 8 seed. This is a pretty important game for Portland. Memphis is also a top 10 team in pace. Portland, and between pace and defense, neither side very good. So, yeah, I like the Portland side. I think Trevor Ariza is a solid option. Carmelo is okay. His price is up, but that's going to lower his ownership. CJ McCollum is fine. Guards and scoring guards in general have done well against Memphis. I'm good with Hassan Whiteside, especially on DraftKings at 8,400. I just think that I think this game will be close and competitive, and he's going to benefit from the pace, even though I do respect Joe Val's defense on the other side. Not that I think he's a great defender, but he's big enough to make a difference. But Damian Lillard's the star here, right? We expect him to kind of shoulder the workload, especially with all his teammates in a tough part of the schedule. We've seen this. This has been a new thing for him. Real quick, it does look like Dwayne Dedmon is going to start ahead of Damian Jones. So it may be a situation where Dedmon actually gets more minutes than we anticipated. So something to keep in mind. And like for game theory purposes, that's definitely having an impact. I'm getting so many of these values type centers, not even full value, but like even guys in the 5K range. I'm getting so much of them. And even Joe Val on the other side of this game, we'll talk about the mids here. That's what's allowing me to get more of the expensive guards because I have the money available. But I wonder if that's going to make the centers on this slate, the stud centers, really low. So we'll talk about that in the second hour. But yeah, I like Portland a lot. I like this game. I think it's very game stackable, but I really want Dame, and I want Dame to do it all. That's what I'm looking for today. Tired legs, keep that in mind. It's a risk. I'm not saying it's like some slam dunk easy situation, but you know what? If there was a team for it to work, it would be Memphis. They've been terrible against point guards. And as long as Dame's usage is there, we have a shot. 9.6 on FanDuel, way too cheap. 10-2 on DraftKings, probably still too cheap for the spot. So hoping he's not going to come in too popular. It's just like a stand we're taking to be different. In this day and age, we talked about it on the earlier show, the field being a little sharper, chalk being a little more higher owned than it used to be, and a little more high percentage than maybe it used to be. Working that stuff in is fine, but you still need to have like lower owned pivots and players to go along with those guys, at least the right ones. But I like Dame a lot. I like Portland in general. I think this makes for a good game stack. The Memphis side I like too. It's always a little harder for me to roster Memphis because their rotation and their minutes are wonky. Joe Val would be my favorite because I think I like him anytime I feel like they're going to need him on the court more. So I think this could be a situation where he sees some of the higher end minutes. He already projects well at 7.3 and 7.4. Dylan Brooks was really chalky in the last game. His price came up, and I don't think anyone's going to play him, so I'm kind of interested because I think outside of LeVert, small forward seems kind of weak to me in general. Jaren Jackson Jr., man, I mean, can Melo get him into foul trouble? It's possible. But will he? Because on the other end, he should dominate Melo, no problem. We saw Zion just did the dirty to these guys. So I do like Jaren Jackson. I may have to actually give him a little bit more of a boost. I mean, because let me see. What do I gotta do here? I might set a rule. I usually don't like to play Joe Val and Jaren together. Like I don't. And Clark is another one. So I usually set a rule for those guys not to play them together. I have him at 31.75 now. If I give him a full 32, we'll see what happens to Jaren Jackson. I know it shows up as 32, it rounds up. I had him at 31.5, but I think I do want to work some of him in, and set a rule to give me either him or Joe Val, but not both. That's what I want to do. Me and Paulie did some research. It seems to be somewhat rare that they go off together. And usually when one ceiling's out, it's because the other one struggled. So just something to keep in mind. But both are in a really good spot, I think. The Anthony Melton continues to be a value play. I'm going to play some of. I mean, he's got a really high pump minute average. He's built that up over the course of the whole season. Unfortunately, he's on the downswing of variance. His usage in the last game was really strong, but he's having a hard time putting the ball in the basket. Like 3 for 12, I think. We've seen 1 for 6s from him, so the usage is fine. They've talked about wanting him more for his defense, wanting to play more on the court. We haven't really seen it a ton, but I think it's because they've needed offense, and Kyle Anderson, who subs in and out for him, has been playing better. But Melton, I will continue to play at least in small exposures because I do believe that upside is real. It's just he's on the wrong side of variance. He's having a streak where he's cold. I mean, he has a day where he shoots even 50% from the field, and he's actually probably doing pretty well for us. But I'm not going to go crazy. John Morant's fine. There's just a lot of point guards I like. On FanDuel, it'll be easier to get him. He had a triple-double in the last game. I'm looking more towards Jaren Jackson, Joe Val, maybe an emergency Brandon Clark in case those guys get into foul trouble. But again, I do like this game quite a bit. We'll see if let me see if I do it quick. I want to see if it ended up giving me Mo Jaren Jackson Jr. Where is he? 35.66 when we gave him a full. So let me make this change. My eyes are terrible. I'll let that run while we go on to the next game. Let me pop in the chat real quick. My bad, guys. I bet. There you go, MG. I bet. Nick says, let's get this money tonight. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Love is now out. Yep. Bump to a bunch of Cavs. Absolutely, MG. Bump to a bunch of Cavs. Drum, Sexton, Seti, Nance. Don't forget about Porter Jr. Devontae says, who should I build around in GPPs? We're going to go through it on this. We'll talk about it in the second hour as we go through these game by games. Hopefully we'll hit on a few of them. But there are a few players that I think are going to be important to make a stand on. Check Diallo being one of them. I'm anticipating him to be popular because he got 39 minutes in the last game and Ayton's doubtful. But we got to talk about that. They're playing a different team, a team that's not as big. So we'll talk. Let's go on to the next one. We've got the Charlotte Hornets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Charlotte. So first thing I'll say is for Charlotte, this is a real big total. It's a 228 total, up 2 points. Charlotte's one of the slowest teams in the league. They are terrible defensively, but they are one of the slowest teams in the league. Again, 228 total. Minnesota opened up -7. They're up to -8.5. That's a pretty good jump, 1.5 point jump for the home favorites. So the Charlotte side of this game is going to be paced up dramatically. Like they're in a massive points plus. I'm very interested in the Charlotte side. PJ Washington, I think, is too cheap. It's a guy I really don't like playing much. And I'm not really interested too much on FanDuel, aside from the fact that he might be lower owned over there because you have Illy and Diallo, who are cheaper at the same position. On DraftKings, I do like him more at 4.4. He played like 36 minutes. We know that's a possibility. And at this point, I mean, you could see he's real close to 6x at just over 26. I mean, if he can get us 26.5, which I think seems reasonable, assuming he plays big minutes again. The matchup got a lot better. I mean, he went from having to face like maybe a Covington type to a Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Of course, James Johnson will get some time off the bench. That could be a little more difficult, but at least for some of the match. And he plays a lot of 5 too. So it's not, it just, he should be involved. A situation where they are going to need the bigs to be involved against Cat down low. Malik Monk, I think is an interesting tournament play also. I'm fine with him. Devontae Graham, I like on both sides. He's hot. Him and Rozier have these streaks where one gets hot, the other one's cold. It looks like they're kind of switching. Now, with that said, I love Rozier because he's so cheap. He may be the one to screw me. I'm looking at about 30 to 35% of him right now, so he could really screw me. But we want to attack Minnesota. I don't care about D'Lo. D'Lo's not no defense to me, so I'm fine with attacking the guards. Going right at Beasley, going right at D'Lo. I'm not worried about it at all. McLaughlin off the bench, I'm fine with it. So I do like Rozier because of his price. It's really low. It's a great matchup. This team is going to be paced up, and the points plus is massive. There's a blowout risk because they are terrible. They are. And Minnesota's actually played a little more respectable with this new squad, but both teams are still bad defensively. Minnesota, you could argue, may have gotten worse defensively based off some of these changes at least. But yeah, I like the Charlotte side, man. They're projected for way more points than they're used to. I mean, we're talking about they're projected for like 109.75. Like for them, I don't know. It's just you don't see them involved in a lot of 228 totals. Now this can end up being all Minnesota. Maybe that's how this works because Minnesota's the one with a 118 projection. But I think it's worth getting at least some Charlotte guys. Malik Monk, another one you can consider, been playing big minutes even though the trade deadline is over. Yeah, we got the Dwayne Dedmon, so we'll have to make that change. Got it. On the Minnesota side, I'm cool with D'Lo. I mean, having a hard time getting him to project where I need him to be, and I don't want to over-exaggerate. He's not at 35. I don't think that's... I got him at more like 34 and change. This is going to be his home opener for this new team, so I know that him and Kat did this little video where they bought like a thousand tickets, and they were going to give him out for free to celebrate his home opener. So maybe they give him a little more just to show the fans something. But I think that the matchup-wise is fine. It's just pace that's an issue. They're going to be paced down. But again, judging by this total, it seems like they're going to play more at Minnesota's pace to me. So I'm good with it. I think D'Lo is fine. Karl Anthony Towns I also like. Again, like the spot is just great. Like the DVP factor. So I'm going to, let me see here. Let me see. A little worried about the pace, but the matchup is going to be great, especially for Kat. Let's get a little more aggressive here. Let's see if that helps. Because to factor in for the DVP, I'm fine with giving him a little boost. Let's see if that helped him at all. It did. I mean, it's at a point now, at least for Kat, where we'll get more. I like Kat a little more anyway. The pick and roll is lethal with those two, but there's a lot of guards, but I think Kat makes sense. Beasley, I'm cool with for value too. He played 32 minutes, even more minutes with Russell. Obviously, the shot attempts were a little lower, but with D'Lo on there. But I think he's going to continue to be aggressive. I think James Johnson's going to be pretty popular today, and for good reason. He got 27 minutes in the last game. He got 20 minutes the game before, but still went for 20 DraftKings points, which wouldn't kill you at his price now of 3.5 on DraftKings. Again, on FanDuel, it's just other guys that seem better at those prices, but on DraftKings 3,500, I think James Johnson is interesting and should be pretty popular. He's a guy that's projecting really well for us too. A pivot would be Juancho Hernan-Gomez, the actual starter at the 4. He is playing against his brother. We got the brother narrative. The Juancho Hernan-Gomez brothers playing against each other. We got that narrative. Juan's actually getting some minutes, getting a chance to start. We don't have him projected all that great despite the minutes. And lately, James Johnson has been the one coming in to close for his defense, or at least in the last game, that was the scenario. So it can go either or. I think if they need offense, they may go Juan. If they need defense, they'll probably go James Johnson. But James Johnson was the one that was needed against Toronto, as you would expect, and who was the one that got more minutes last game. So kind of tough to make a decision, but there is value at the position if need be. Let's move it, keep it rolling. We've got what we got? We still got 4 games left. Shit, all right then, shit. We got Sacramento visiting the Dallas Mavericks. We've got both teams working with 1 day rest. However, they're both in a 4-6. 225.5 total. It's actually down from 227.5. Dallas opened up -8.5. They are still -8.5. We know Luka is expected to play. On the Kings side, man, Jabari's questionable. We'll have to wait on him. Maybe he gets some time, which would take away, but they're playing a pretty tight rotation, man. Their main guys are getting big minutes. We've seen Bjelica playing a lot of 5. Again, it could be impacted by Jabari possibly, but we've seen Bjelica play a lot of 5. Bogdanovic is getting a lot of run. Buddy Hield, they're all closing together. I love De'Aaron Fox. He's one of the point guards I like a lot. Still think he's underpriced on DraftKings. I like Bogdanovic on both sites. Got 30-something minutes, was a little disappointing, but against Dallas, I do like him in this situation at this price. Buddy Hield off the bench, man. He's 6'5" on DraftKings, so it's tough to get to, but his usage off the bench has been awesome since they split Hield and Fox. He's still closing most of the time, so I don't think it's a big deal, but obviously you sacrifice a couple minutes that way, but his usage has been awesome. I mean, Harry Giles maybe gets more minutes. Dallas is a tall team. I don't want to say big because they're not like Lakers big. They're just tall, right? It's not like dominant bigs. It's just tall dudes. So I think that Giles. I mean, I'm not going there. I don't see a world where I need him. We have a lot of centers. And there's not even like a million studs. It's not like we have James Harden or Giannis or any of those guys on this slate anyway to spend all that kind of money. So I got no reason. Yeah. No minute update. But yeah, I think once again the Kings priced well to play him. They're playing tight rotations. If Jabari gets out, I'm even more into it. So I'll give a boost to Bielitsa if Jabari's out. I don't know how much we'll get because we have a lot of people at that position, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Harry Barnes, if you want the revenge narrative, he's been playing really well, been playing big minutes, and this is a revenge narrative from him. They're the ones who sent him to Sacramento. On the Dallas side, with Luka back, the price is really low. We don't know what to expect in terms of how aggressive he's going to be in his first game back. I mean, I don't really question that too much. It's Luka Doncic, but it's more about the minutes. They got one game, then they're on the All-Star break. So how much are they willing to play Luka in a game like today? I'm not really sure. I think Luka being back is obviously going to have an impact on Porzingis. I think his minutes go back a little bit. Maybe instead of 36, he gets more like 33, 34. And obviously his usage when he's on there with Luka is going to go down a little bit, but it's still high usage. I wasn't into a ton. I think Porzingis has a really good matchup, so that's kind of interesting when I think about it. Again, his price is reflective of, Luka being out, which makes it tough. But for tournament purposes, everybody is going to bail. And it is a good matchup against the Kings, man. He's going to be a matchup issue for these guys between Bielitsa and them dudes. So I don't hate it. Maybe we'll give him a little bit. Maybe give him like 33.5 and see if that helps. Just drop a little. But Porzingis is an option. It was just kind of tough to navigate. Everybody else takes a big hit. When Luka comes in, man, he takes over. Everybody else takes a big hit. And they're all kind of priced for when Luka was out. So it's really Luka if you want to do that at low. What I think is going to be low ownership because I think people might be afraid of any kind of minute limitation or something. But I don't think I go there today. I'm rolling with Dame Dollar. And even some Trae Young. Next we have Miami visiting Utah. Let's pull it up. We've got a 216 total down from 217.5. Obviously, one of the lower ones on the slate. Both teams working with 1 day off in the midst of a 4-6. Miami still on their West Coast road trip. So Kendrick Nunn's minutes have really taken a hit. On DraftKings, man, he's 4-1. On DraftKings, I like that. I'm sorry, but I like the 4-1 price tag. Duncan Robinson on DraftKings at 4-3, I'm cool. On FanDuel at 4-3, I'm cool with. I mean, obviously, he's more valuable with the 3-pointers on DraftKings, but 43 is a really low price. Goran Dragic has been out playing Nunn. He's been the one closing. They've been closing with Butler. They've been bringing in Jay Crowder, who's been awesome. Crowder's been awesome. This is also a revenge spot for him. Very competitive position. I tried to elevate. I mean, he's playing at a really high level for Miami. Like, he's been way more aggressive on the boards, everything. So it's hard to really figure out where he's at. I would imagine more people get him building teams by hand than they would in any kind of optimizer or something like that because it's hard. I mean, you can't project him for like 35 minutes for no reason. We're still trying to learn what his role is here, but he's been really aggressive off the bench, playing a lot of minutes in the 30s. So I got him projected for, 33? Is it a full 33? Let me see. Crowder, yeah, full 33. I mean, the best we could do, maybe give him a little boost by half a minute or something and see if that helps. I mean, it'll help, but again, it's a competitive position. Bam Adebayo has seen a little bit of a minute decline with Butler back, but I think that's more just giving him rest. But Iggy's been closing. This is why none isn't. Iggy's been closing with Crowder and Butler and Dragic, and then, of course, Bam or Duncan has been where they've gone. So just keep that in mind. But Kendrick Nunn at 4-1 is really cheap. And that could change. It's been 2 games where Nunn's really not been in closing. So maybe that changes. He's also shot poorly. So if he has the game where he actually shoots better, that could change. He was a guy that was playing monster minutes for them before. He just happens to be struggling right now. But, I mean, if Karl Anthony Towns just got ruled out. No way. So this thing is begging us to really go... This thing is begging us to really like basically punt the center. So that's going to open up like Naz Reid value. This slate is about to get wild. It's going to make D'Lo's usage monstrous, I would assume. Also, Malik Beasley, give him a boost. Wow, that's a big one. Cat ruled out in the home opener, man. They just bought all these tickets for these people. I guess they're gonna let D'Lo go nuts tonight, I think. So now we've got Mo Bamba, Kevin Love, and Cat to make updates to. That's right, you heard me. Karl-Anthony Towns has been ruled out with a wrist injury. Let me see if there's any more information. Yep, Towns out with a wrist injury. Dedmon to start. So, there you have it. But Kendrick Nunn, like I said, on FanDuel. The rest of the game I'm not terribly interested in on the Heat side. Not on the... we got to do this too. Mike Conley was ruled out, we know. For Utah. So we're going to give a bump here to Clarkson, who I don't mind at all. I mean, he could be a big piece for me. I felt like I had a hole at shooting guard. I didn't love a ton. This certainly changes up quite a bit for us. Let's see what we do. I mean, Clarkson's been balling, man. The usage's been awesome. He's going out there doing dirties. I do like him again. And he's played minutes, man. 29 minutes and 31 minutes last game, and he fouled out. He would have got more. 29 minutes game before that. I do like Clarkson quite a bit. Today, so we'll take Conley out. Mitchell gets a boost, but he's been ass. He's on FanDuel really cheap. He's been ass, though. Gobert's been playing monster minutes. I'm cool with that. You give Ingles a little bit of a boost. He already kind of... He's already where he is. I would give Bojan a little boost, though. I would do that. He's just very scoring dependent. But, yeah, I mean, Clarkson's going to stand out like a mother sucker in this one. We'll probably be getting a lot of Clarkson now. He's going to overpass some people. If you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, I will update the article in the break. I'm going to make sure to do that based off the news we have now after I make some updates. In the meantime, let's keep things rolling with the next game because we are running low on time. We got the Golden State Warriors. I think it's the Suns, right? Golden State Phoenix. So we got some stuff to talk about with this one, right? So we've got a 227.5 total. That's actually up from 226. It's a pretty healthy total. Two teams that don't play very much defense. Both teams working with a day off. Phoenix in a 4-6, but both teams working with a day off. The Marquise Chris prevent spot. Marquise Chris has been awesome. Let me read you Marquise Chris's game logs. So Chris has gone for 33.75 DraftKings points against Miami. With a 24.6% usage rate, a 45.25 DraftKings points against the Lakers. The Lakers, a big team. 27 minutes, 23.4 usage rate. So he's been awesome, man. And this is a revenge spot for him against a Phoenix team that's likely to be without Ayton. Diallo not nearly as big as Ayton. And Diallo is the only big they got. So I like Marquise Chris today. I know I was aggressive with his minutes, but Looney got ruled out. So I think maybe he could see a little more time. Maybe they give that time to Alan Smelagic, whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Chris play a little bit more. We may be a little too aggressive on this, on the minute projection now that I look at it. Let me see. Based off the fact that his minutes were down, we don't want to overreact too much. But I'm not that far off from where I want to be. I want to make sure to get at least some. I mean, we got him for 30. That is probably a little aggressive. Say we go to 29.5. Make a change there. Hopefully, I just want to make sure it gives us some because it is a good spot, narrative or not. It's just a good. He's been playing really well. He's got up the upside. The rest of the guys I'm not that into. I think Paulie kind of likes Wiggins. We'll talk about that later. Draymond Green, we can keep an eye on for usage purposes. When Draymond played, Kai Bowman's minutes went down significantly, so something to keep an eye on. But Marquise Chris is the main one for me on this team. Going down to, so this is the decision you got to make today with Check Diallo. He played 39 minutes against the Lakers with Ayton out. Ayton's expected to be out again, right? So the question is, does Ayton, they played the Lakers. They needed to have a big on the court. They have no other bigs. So it's either go real small, I'm saying 4 guards maybe, or you're going to have to play Diallo a ton again. I lean towards them playing Diallo. They do have Marquise Chris. They do have Smelagic, who they bring off the bench. Not like super bigs where they're going to force you to go big if you don't want to. But, look at the guys they'd be looking at. We're talking about Ty Jerome, Okobo, Javon Carter. Those are all guards. Cameron Johnson, more of a wing. Maybe he can get away with playing some 4. After that, Devin Booker, guard. Ricky Rubio, guard. Kelly Oubre, at best a 4. Definitely not a 5. Probably more of a 2. That has to play the 3 sometimes. Bridges, another guard type. Maybe you can get away with playing him at the 4. But you don't have a guy you can really play at center. So that's one of the reasons I like Marquise Chris so much. And because of that, I like Diallo. 3,700 on FanDuel. I think he's going to get at least 30 minutes, if not another 36, 37 if this game is competitive. So if they played him 38 minutes in a blowout, I'm just going to assume that they'd be willing to play him that in a close game just because they don't have anybody else to play the position. So I do like Check Diallo quite a bit on both sides. Unfortunately, if on FanDuel, you got to take a chance. On DraftKings, if they tell us he's not starting, I'll bail. I'm not going to bail completely, but I'll bail some of my shares because I'm tired of getting burnt by guys that don't start, and then you wonder why they didn't get a lot of minutes. Well, evidently he didn't start. Maybe they didn't need him in the game plan today. But again, they're already shorthanded as it is, and they have no bigs. They got nobody. It's all guards and wings. That's it. So, yeah, I like them. Fair enough. Last game here, and then we're going to take a little break and bring on Paulie for the second part of the Wise stream. We got the Lakers visiting Denver. This scares me because it's a late night hammer and it's supposed to be a very competitive game. And I really, as of right now, I'm not getting a lot of it. I mean, I'm trying. I got guys on the higher end of their minutes. Maybe we get to AD or LeBron a little bit more now that Cat's out. Just one less stud to get to. And those are really the only two I'm interested in. I'm not in the business of trying to guess between, is Kuzma going to play more today or Dwight Howard? I'm not really into that thing. So it's LeBron or AD. For me, I think that LeBron may be a little easier to get to at the small forward position. That's not as strong, but I'm not really huge on him. And I'm a little worried about it. I think the Denver side may have a little more value. They are still missing Will Barton. Paul Millsap's been playing like a beast off the bench. Only limited to 18 to 19 minutes, but the usage rate has been phenomenal for that second unit. He's been just destroying. So I'm actually not opposed to playing Millsap. The only way that's going to happen is if I give him like a boost manually, which I may do. It's just a matter of that position is real deep. How bad do we need it? I'm not sure, but he's been a freak on the second unit. Definitely high risk though, because he's only getting 18 to 19 minutes. So if he's not efficient, you're just screwed. Jokic, I do think they will need more. Maybe he's another center I can get to now with Cat out, but it's a big team. Millsap is still limited and playing off the bench, so I think that I know that Murray's here. That's going to affect the usage for Jokic, but the minutes could still be strong, and they kind of have been strong, so I would think they would. I don't mind Jeremy Grant just because as long as Millsap's limited, Grant's going to play the rest of those minutes with everybody else out. So, yeah, again, it was just kind of hard for me to find something. I think Murray is someone we can't consider at a pretty deep guard position. But these are two teams that typically play some defense. I know Denver's defense has been really struggling. But I don't know. It's a late night hammer. As of right now, I'm not getting a ton. We'll talk to Paulie and see if he thinks that we should. See if he thinks we should find a way to get some. But late night hammer, I usually always want at least some people, and I'm just having a hard time reaching it because it's a big slate and there's a lot out there. But I do think that maybe Jokic, Murray, some of these guys might have to consider. Maybe even Torrey Craig for value. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We shall see. That's going to do it for the first half of the show, the game-by-game portion. Smashing. I think James Johnson is going to be chalk. Like you said, just wait for news. Now D'Lo is definitely cash lock. I would think so, Tall God. Yeah, you wait for news and things start to open up. Exactly. It's a perfect example. We wait for news. We get this. Blow. Things happen. With that said, appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hit that like button. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a little pause, set up for the next show. I'll make some updates to the projections. Again, the projections are available for free today at WiseTake.com. They're not updated just yet. I'm about to make the updates while we're in the in-between. Setting up. Just keep watching the show for part 2, and you guys will be updated with when the projections are updated, everything like that. You'll know when to download them. But they're free to access for the day, just as a little appreciation to those of you that hang out with us on the shows every day and grind this out with us. We appreciate you guys. But hit that like button if you haven't already. That really goes a long way. Really, really helps us out, guys. Well, it allows us to continue to do the dirties and continue to do the content, and we enjoy it, man. We like hanging out. So I'll be back with Paulie in about 5 to 10 minutes. Just going to make some updates to these. In the meantime, I'll play some background music for y'all and just kind of hang out and chill. We'll be back. What up, nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream, and we are joined by the GOAT, the true OG, as per usual, Paulie D. Paulie, what's happening?
What's up?
Slate just kind of got a little wild on us. It's beautiful doing them shows. Like I started, that 5 o'clock hour for a 7 o'clock lock, and then like as I get through a game, bam, we get the news. I get through another game, bam, we get more news. So I've adjusted most.
I'd rather have it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Not
100%. I'd rather scramble now than have to scramble like 10 minutes before lock. So I'm cool with that. Definitely cool with that. Appreciate those of you who are joining us for part 2 of the show. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Just a reminder, the projections are free. We made a deal with you guys. We needed 100 likes. We didn't get the 100 likes, but it is the last slate before the All-Star break. We wanted to do something nice because we do feel like our viewers have been awesome and they have been trying to help us out every chance they get. So the projections are free at WiseTake.com. As I update them on the show, they are instantly updated there. You could download them, upload them, whatever. And if you're watching the show, you got the benefit of knowing when they're updated and whatnot. So shout out to you guys. And Paulie, shout out to you, man. Yesterday we were underweight on 2 chalky plays that hurt us, Levine and Aldridge. But aside from that, man, you were on it, man. Some of your highest exposures, Tobias Harris, some of these guys just with Smash City, man. Another big one was Kobe White. Just really, it's just it's being down on Dame. The Dame, man, not big on Dame. I said if Paulie don't like Dame, there's a problem. I'm not playing him if Paulie don't like him. Because Will likes Dame every day. He don't like him, there's a reason. I'm bailing. And that was the right call indeed. With that said, Paulie, talk to me overall about the slate in general. We just got a lot of news. Some of the stuff we got while we were on the show was that Kevin Love is out. We know Nance is starting. Karl Anthony Towns was ruled out. That was a surprise. Dwayne Dedmon is starting. Yep. Mike Conley's ruled out. So things have changed, needless to say. Talk to me about which one of these changes has the biggest impact to you.
Karl Anthony Towns getting ruled out makes, Naz Reid, my favorite value play on the slate, and gives a boost to like everyone else in that team that gets minutes. D'Angelo Russell may be one of my favorite studs, and guys like Hernan Gomez, Nectat, and Malik Beasley, Jared Culver all become like super attractive. So that's probably the most impactful one. In regards to broad thoughts on the slate, like what was overwhelmingly obvious to me, like looking at this slate, is just how deep it is. And like, even though there's all this nice value opening up, I still kind of feel like a balanced build is going to be optimal. Maybe it's, 6 guys balance and then like your favorite value play and your favorite stud, so it's mostly a balanced lineup. And like, I think some of these value plays are like fool's gold where like everyone's going to be flocking to play them. And, raw points wise may not win out the slate because there's just so many guys from 5 to 8K that can go for 50 today. And, that's, if you can get 8 guys in your lineup with 50s and you can get 8 guys around 6K into your lineup, like that's a 400. You know what I mean? It's obviously a lot easier said than done, but you probably can get higher overall lineups when the balance build goes off because it's rare that the scrubs and the stars and scrubs build can get up over like 30 points.
No, I hear you completely. And the other thing about it is like the studs that we have. I mean, that's the other part of the stars and scrubs approaches. You have to actually like the studs you're getting, right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should if you don't like what you see. So I'm assuming that the studs, I already gave him the spoiler alert. The nation already knows that Paulie's into Dame Lillard today. The nation is aware of that already. But spoiler action. But aside from that, I would take it that you're not that into the rest of the studs. Is that right or wrong?
So like I mentioned, D'Angelo Russell, is becoming more and more interesting to me. Don't mind Drummond, don't mind LeBron, Trae Young, like Devin Booker, but like, they're good plays, but I don't think any one of them outside of Dame do I get up over like 40% on. You know what I mean? I think I'm just gonna, be very balanced even with the studs, and the predominant, players that I'll have high exposure to are going to be in the mid tier.
Fair enough. Why don't we get into? We'll go tier by tier. Talk to me about the studs you do like. I know obviously you're not as high. We know you like Dame. But even if you don't
Yeah.
like the studs a ton, talk to me about some of the ones that you're more tempted to at least, because we do have a lot of them on here.
So absolutely love Dame Lillard. Think this is like, shaping up to be like a great spot for him. Don't think most of the field will be on him. And, like they're in a rough part of their schedule. They are playing a team that guards bigs well. They're an underdog on the road against a team they're probably going to be battling out for that 8th, 7th seed when it gets closer to playoff time. And, the fact that I think like Whiteside kind of gets neutralized. Point guards have been murdering Memphis all year. And Dame has had like 2 bad games and like 7 just best games of any player all season. Like one of the hottest runs I've ever seen. And like we just want to keep playing that guy in these situations. And the Dame Lillard rules are underdog in a close game, and there's some like sub rules, like if we think they defend bigs well, if they're super paced up, like that can add on. But on the road, underdog, game's expect to be close. We're gonna play Dame Lillard a lot. After him, Devin Booker, D'Angelo Russell, very very close between those two. Man, like I think my brain says Booker's the better play, but like my heart wants to play more Russell. I could just like see that, see him going off there. Kind of like Malik Beasley in his debut. He just took 1 million shots from Minnesota. Like, no, I know it's not his debut, but it's his home debut. And then with Kevin Love out, I think we got to take a look at Andre Drummond in a plus spot. Also don't mind, Middleton, Julius Randle, Siakam. And then, like, as I'm sitting here, I'm wondering if, like, maybe because we get a little piece of Luka. Like, have you heard anything about his minutes today?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. I did hear, just off topic, but we did get word that James Johnson will start for Karl Anthony Towns at center. So he was already going to be chalk. Expect him to be massively owned. But no, to answer your question, no. I have not heard anything on Luka. And it's the last game for the All-Star break. I'm curious. I'm wondering why they even brought it back. But whatever.
Right. And, like, you could see that game being very close and very fast. And, like, Luka has one of the highest ceilings of anybody ever. We return to action. He's been nearing a return, point and playing. It remains to be seen if team will win his minutes in any fashion. Like, you're going to get him at like 2%. There's enough value to easily get him. This is a discounted price on him. I'm not talking about a lot of ownership, but I think I'm going to try to like force 10 or 15% of Luka because we can. And like, he probably, if everything was normal, no injuries, like the most likely to go for 70 on any slate of anyone in the league outside of maybe Dame.
I don't disagree. I mean, his price. So once he goes off, he will not be this cheap again. Not until he gets hurt the next time, or whatever the case may be. So I don't disagree at all. And it's the right opponent, the Kings, man. Like they may not be as fast as they used to be, but they're still fucking terrible defensively. So I'm good with that as well. Talk to me about the mid-tier guys, Paulie. I know you got some interest. We talked about D'Lo. He's like on that flirt, like he's kind of a stud, kind of a mid-tier. I guess we'll go with guys below him. Are there guys you like in this range? I'm assuming that there are.
Yeah. There's a ton. I mean, the ones that stand out the most to me, right, are who would I say is my favorite? Karis LeVert, Andrew Wiggins, Jonas Valanciunas, Christian Wood, Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, if I didn't say him, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Terry Rozier, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Brooks, Donovan Mitchell. Those are kind of my favorites. There's a long list of other guys in there too. But I think this is such a deep tier. I think there's multiple 50-point scorers out of that group that I just read. You with me? I think you're muted.
Yeah, it was. My bad. Talk to me about some of the value guys that you're looking at today, being that we just got a shit ton opened up. I know that the ones at the very bottom you're saying we may not even need, but there's a lot to process in general at pretty much every tier of value. Who are your favorites today?
Yeah, so, Diallo, Nas Reed, Nectat, Wancho, Malik Beasley are like, well, not scratch Malik Beasley, but Nectat, Wancho, Check Diallo, Nas Reed are some of like the super cheap value that I'm into, right? Then we got like the closer to 5K values like Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Dwayne Dedman, Vic Oladipo, like those guys a lot too. Shabazz Napier I like a lot. So we got a lot. There's even some randoms in there. Like Marvin Williams could get a handful of minutes. I wouldn't even be shocked if he started for Milwaukee today. Jarrett Culver, guy we long forgot, but he's probably going to get all the usage on the second unit for Minnesota. D'Anthony Melton pops every day. Is today the day he finally goes off? What do you call it? Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks is in a really good spot. So, I mean, the slate's just loaded.
Damn it. Fucking thing won't work. I don't disagree. What are you doing with a guy like Check Diallo, man? He got 39 minutes in the last game. They were playing a very big team. The Warriors not nearly as big, but they don't have a center. We went over it. They have all guards. It's all guards and some guys that are going to play the four that are really wings. You think it's a situation where they're just going to play a shit ton of Diallo again? Assuming Ayton is out, who's doubtful?
I do. I think he's been officially ruled out if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I just don't see how they don't. I think he's kind of earned it. He's been playing really well, off the bench, second unit, and it's kind of matches up perfect with what Golden State's going to throw at them, right? So they did it. They did it last game. I don't see why they wouldn't do it again here.
Yeah, I agree, and obviously a much better spot. So I guess let's get into some of these games. I know the start when I talked to you earlier, Memphis and Portland was probably one of your favorite game stack. I'm sure it's still one of your favorite. Have any of these games now come into competition, or are you still comfortable going that route?
I'd say that's probably my favorite still, but there's a couple that I think are very close, like Sacramento, Dallas, Charlotte, Minnesota. I mean, I'm going to want a lot of Minnesota in Stars and Scrubs builds. Golden State, Phoenix, right? Those four games, Sacramento, Dallas, Portland, Memphis, Charlotte, Minnesota, and Golden State, Phoenix. And, I don't want to include Knicks, Washington, but they're probably not very far behind either. So I like all four of those games fairly close, and, we'll be forcing in multiple, 4-man, 5-man, and even 6-man game stacks from those particular games.
I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. Man. Who are some of all right, let's talk cash games. Who do you think are now the optimals? James Johnson, number one. He becomes an optimal for sure. Mm-hmm. Would you consider Check Diallo a cash play, or do you think that we have enough others?
I think Diallo's going to be the highest owned player on the slate.
Even with this, I mean, I agree. I agreed with that until the James Johnson. Now I think James Johnson's going to be. He's starting at center against Charlotte, and he's played well already. But I'm with you. Who's the second highest? Check Diallo. So it's the difference. Second, flip flop them all you want.
Right.
So I'm good with those two as the start. Where would you go from there?
In cash, then I would probably go with Eric Bledsoe, Middleton. Yeah, there was one dude projected to be really popular in the mid-tier. Oh, Devin Booker, I think, was projecting really well, ownership-wise, right? No Ayton, most likely, against Golden State. I think he makes sense.
I wonder if D'Lo passes him at this point. Or do you think maybe people just playing both because they don't love the studs anyway?
And all the values in the bigs pretty much. So.
Right. So it's definitely feasible if people don't want to play Dame or Trae Young. I mean, that would be the next stop. How if you hear me?
So right now, RG has Nas Reed as the highest projected owned player, then Diallo, then James Johnson, then Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, Larry Nance, D'Angelo Russell, Hassan Whiteside. And I think that's right? I think like between Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, D'Angelo Russell, Chris Middleton, and I guess Hassan Whiteside, like those 5 kind of your studs. I think you want like 4 or 5 of those guys in your cash build with Diallo, Nectat, and like Larry Nance. Or Dwayne Dedmon.
Dwayno Dedmon. Man, this is the builds I'm getting now are just night and day. They're so different now. I'm getting builds. I got to take charge of this and make sure we're still getting the guys we like here. Don't let everything just blindly take over like this. Let's see. Yeah, I got to make some dirties here real quick. How many minutes would you project Diallo for?
34.
34?
Yeah. I mean, that's just going to make him blow off the page, though. So, I mean, I think you can project him at 32 and be fine.
It's funny. That's the exact number that I was targeting. And the reason I did that earlier in the day, I didn't have to worry about it. I was getting a lot of him. But now with Dedmon starting, I raised his minutes. We got Drummond. We've got this whole value, James Johnson, all these guys. Now it's not giving me as much. And I'm like, no. That's not happening. I'm getting me some. You know what I mean?
Yum.
You know what it is. Check Diallo. Interesting. Why is some people are lowering his projection? That's just strange for a piece of change.
I'll jump into the Wise stream chat and take some questions while you do that dirty, and then I'll jump into YouTube.
Do the dirty.
How about
do the dirty for the nation? I like it. A man of the people, a man of the nation. That's what I'm talking about. It's Paulie Dizzle, ladies and jizzle.
How about
that? Once again, nation, if you haven't hit that like button, hit the like button as a reward for the like button, your cooperation. We did make the projections free today. I'm working hard to update these things, get them as ready as I can. We have about 29 minutes to lock, and I'm going through different builds to make sure it's giving us the exposures that we're comfortable with. That's where we are. But these ownerships is crazy though. I'm gonna have to change Dedmon a little bit.
No questions in the WiseTake chat. So popping into YouTube, it'll take 20 seconds to load and whatnot. So get them questions in, and no pressure on the projection stage. Okay.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all.
No pressure, just dirties.
Just dirties. That's it. There's no pressure around here. Just dirties.
Oh shit! I didn't hit the like button.
That's not cool.
All right, we in this.
We in this for the long haul, bro.
Here we go. All right. James Johnson is starting for Carl. I wish they put timestamps. Hold up. Why does Paulie always look hungover? Because I work 2 jobs.
Because he works 2 jobs. And then hold in a phone call. Just a busy man.
Don't sleep much, party very hard, and sweat DFS all the time.
It makes sense when you put it that way,
So, can you use a little Jabari tonight at 3,600 if he plays? Sure. I would want to know he's going to play like 20 minutes or more. I just don't see them playing him a ton of minutes, and the slate's just loaded with good plays. Jay Crowder, sure, you can play him. I don't like that game, and think that he's unlikely to kind of ceiling out a 3rd game in a row when everyone's jumping on him. Jaren Jackson Jr., like him a ton. Jay Crowder, I'm not that into. Ingles, Rozier out. Is that Terry Rozier? Is that real, fams?
Yeah, Terry Rozier ruled out. That is true. Holy shit. Bismack Boyambo will start at center also. Gonna start Bismack. Just everything is falling apart. Terry Rozier is ruled out.
Big old bump to Devontae Graham, Malik Monk.
Oh yeah.
Miles Bridges.
Yep.
Cody Martin was already out. So we got that. Thanks for the update in the chat, homie.
That's what it's about.
Is Wiggins good tonight? I believe so. Favorite center tonight? Good question. So I do like Andre Drummond on the high end. I like Naz Reid a lot. And I like Joe Val, kind of to give you one in each tier. Next question. Was good, CK. Who's your favorite play tonight? What's your number one favorite play today, CK?
My number one top play. I think for me it's Diallo. That might be a little biased because I have a little thing for Chuck Diallo. I watched him in college a lot, but for me it's Diallo. 5K. What about you?
Yeah.
I mean, Dame is the real answer, right? For both of us.
Dame Holler.
Dame Holler. That's
God. Six Swamp says Jay Crowder GPP. Yeah, absolutely. You can play him in GPPs. Done really well. The usage has been great in that role, but that's going to be a pretty slow game. Elfin Dame or Bledsoe and Trey. You know my answer. Elfin Dame for sure. Paulie from CMO Green Gaming. For GPP, would you go Devin and Diablo or Middleton Sabonis? Middleton Sabonis, that's like, 20K combined or 19K. Devin and Diallo is like, 11K. So that's like, I don't like, that question doesn't really make sense to me. Like, obviously Middleton and Sabonis, if money's not an issue, but, Devin and Diallo, I like a lot. Zeller's ruled out. How about Kalen Martin? Sure. Basically anyone in a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey is viable, but I want to stick to the higher usage guys. So I'm not that interested. Willie Hernan Gomez, sure. Playing against his brother's team. He's a high point per minute guy, but not that into it. Six Twomp says, is Dedmon too risky? No, I think he's a phenomenal play at his price. Don't think Drummond. I think he's got a skill set that plays well against Drummond. 23 minutes to lock. How you doing on the project? Let me know when I can upload, when it's updated.
Yep, just got to do the dirty for Rozier real quick, and then we are good to go. Playing this catch-up game. All right, where's Rozier? Let's see the status on him. Rosie Rose got a damn, man. Graham and Monk, man. They're going to play a lot.
Yeah. And it's just like, that game, wow, is it optimal as shit right now?
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, increased usage, no defense. Charlotte might actually play significantly faster.
They were already kind of projected to. And you're right, Rozier is a guy that has always come from slow teams, so that makes sense too.
Yeah, he does. He's a set up the offense kind of point guard where Devontae Graham and Monk will run. Monk showed us he could run in Kentucky, and both of them can run. You know what I mean? And then
ooh, this is interesting. Caleb Martin starting for Rozier, and obviously, as you mentioned, Cody Zeller unlikely to play. So I think that's why we have Bismack starting at center. I guess Hernan Gomez and PJ will man the center position, but Caleb Martin starting for Terry Rozier, not exactly a high usage player. So Graham and Bridges, right, should benefit the most on the starting unit, not to mention Monk on the second unit. I would assume.
For sure.
Got that frozen action. Action Jackson.
What?
You got that frozen action.
Yeah. I was getting those calls. I'm like, yo, texted dude.
Straight call city up in here.
This is crunch time. News is popping off everywhere. Last big slate of the season of the break, and you're calling me about God knows what. It's probably like
nonsense ass shit. Projections do reflect Rozier, so Go ahead. You can download them, upload them, do the dirt, and make your manipulations from there. I'll update it if any news comes out. And as I'm going through having to build some teams, I'm trying to make sure that the exposures match up with what we're looking for. For show. You know what? I made a mistake on Bridges. Hold on 1 second. Don't even do it yet.
Yeah, them projections been hot AF.
Hey, Effington. 37.75 up in here.
Some of the dirtiest projections in the dirt.
We got the Udo. All right, now they're good to go. Holla. Good to go, nation. Download away. We got the Rozier update in. We got about 20 minutes to lock. Let's make it happen. It's funny, man. My whole thing. I'm making the updates to the core only. The rankings, obviously, not enough time to do. But I'm making adjustments to the actual core players in the article. So if you are subscribed to WiseTake.com, go check that out. You got the projections, which pretty much tell you the story anyway, otherwise, because we are just doing dirties for everyone today. Let's go. And let's see. So, yeah, as expected, getting a ton of PJ Washington, James Johnson. Oh, man, this is wild. Once again, I got my boy Checkers being cut out of here. PJ always does that to me, though.
Forget Check.
You don't like the Check no more, bro?
No, of course I like Check.
You don't like the Check no more? He said, fuck him. I
do like. Nah, I can't do that to my boy.
That's our boy, bro. Man, there is a
19 lot. 19 minutes to lock. Don't get caught dirty.
Yeah, don't get caught with your dirty on your dirty.
Exactly.
You don't want to do that. It's not good. It doesn't help anyone. Please don't tell me we're getting even more. I mean, if it's gonna be news, tell us now. But I keep hearing my phone doing a little vibrate action. I'm like, oh shit. It's still going. You heard that. I know you could hear it too. What do we got? Pistons will start Reggie Jackson, Snell, Wood, and Maker. Nothing new there.
They call me Maker.
Lowry, Raptors will start Lowry, Van Fleet, Anunoby, Siakam, and Ibaka. Nothing new there. Holla if you heard me. Wow, man, it's like a sprint to see what all the best plays are.
Indeed.
I mean, that is a boost for PJ, of course, so I'm not like that mad about PJ. I'm not trying to make it seem like I don't want PJ, because I want some PJ, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Of course you do. Me and you see eye to eye with that shit, you know what I mean? Shit.
All day.
In the zone.
Did you know that Pat Connaughton's in the slam dunk contest?
I did, man. Supposedly, kids. I mean, I've seen him play. I've seen him dunk and shit, but supposedly his ups are like ridiculous.
They are. He can jump, but I mean, the slam dunk contest is loaded this year.
Yeah.
There's Derek Jones in it.
Yeah, Derek Jones
Zach LaVine in it.
That's
Yeah, Derek Jones Jr. hands down. Just that guy can fly.
No doubt.
No doubt, baby.
Shit. All right,
James.
See what this look like. We're gonna try to go right now. Obviously, getting a ton of James Johnson, Devontae Graham, still getting a ton of PJ Washington. I tried to limit his ass, and I'm still getting. He's just too cheap for the situation. I mean, he was already playing center minutes. Now you take Zeller out of the equation. It just seems likely he's gonna get a lot of center minutes. Plus, you factor in that they don't have Cat on the other side anymore. I don't think they're gonna be all that worried about that no more. Shit. Here we are though. PJ. Are you gonna do me like that, PJ? See, that's another problem with all these centers down low. Outside of Drummond, like think about the guy like Joval, man. I don't think anyone's gonna be able to go there now. So less amount of people are gonna be playing these guys. Even Whiteside, who's chalk every day. I'm not making an argument against that. I mean, I get it. I'm just saying. We got 16 minutes to lock. That's the good thing is we got a little time. Another lineup coming in. We're getting some lineups today, man. I like this. Dinwiddie, LeVert, Harris, Prince, Allen, usual out in Brooklyn. Though keep in mind, we did note that DeAndre Jordan's been the one closing. Though it's only a 2-game sample, so you don't want to overreact and shit. Okay. I'm trying to personally get Washington down a little bit. I want him, but I don't know. I mean, I've never had it give me so many guys at this percentage before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
Like what type of percentages are you talking about?
Bro, like PJ is giving me like 87%. Like I'm getting guys like 3 or 4 players in like the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Which is like wild.
I'm capping that. I'm not taking no 80% PJ Washington.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I'm that's what I'm saying. I'm making adjustments so that get him a little bit lower. I want him a lot. I just don't want him that much. But I do want him a lot. I do think he is one of the best plays at this time. Just got to keep on tweaking and tweaking. That's what we do here. We got some time though, 15 minutes to make it happen. What else are we looking at here? The players, I really get it too. Yeah. I'm good with that. Man, all right. Damn, there goes my Brogdon too. Shit. How much Graham are you trying to play?
Like 50%.
Yeah, he's a big one. He's another one that it was trying to get me 80 of. I get it with Rozier out. I know. I like the amount of Monk I'm getting. I'm getting like 50% Monk or something like that. I could dig that. 14 minutes to lock, Nation. These squadrons built. I'm trying to get some. Once I feel comfortable with where things are at, then I'll pop back in and see if we can answer some questions. I just want to make sure that the projections we are putting out are on point. Make sure they're on point. Point like a pimp. All right, I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Like that. How much like rank like Malik Monk, Malik Beasley, and Jordan Clarkson?
Monk, Clarkson, Beasley.
Yeah, I'm in the same position as you, and that's pretty much what I'm getting for the most part. Matter of fact, I'm not really getting Beasley, but I think I'm alright with that with Monk. They're the ones, in my opinion, there's more of a benefit, I think, for him. Let's go. All right, so a lot of James Johnson, Devontae Graham. I don't think I had to change much at all. I'll keep him where he was. Still fighting to get PJ lowered a little bit. And I guess there's not enough Beasley or too much Clarkson, one of the two. How much D-Lo am I getting? I would assume not a ton. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Dame and Trae Young right now. The mid-tier guys that I liked are kind of falling off a little bit.
This value is just projecting too strong. It's going to force that in.
Yep.
So you got to spend the money.
Yep, 100%. 100%. I'm not getting no D-Lo either. What the hell? Changing that.
Things like Cameron Johnson on it's like Lamb to lock nation.
Let's do it.
You know, I'll literally just exit him out of my player pool if they try to do that.
Cam Johnson at a time like this?
Yeah. At a time like this, exactly. Like, are you guys out of your flipping mind? Marv Williams showing up. I love it.
Marv, we love you, Marv. Not really. I hate that motherfucker. No, not hate. Hate is a strong word. I'm not a hater. Dislike him, though. Oh, boy. Chuck E. Cheese. Phoenix. Man, they had to do that to us hard. Did it to us hard.
I should have my lineups uploaded in like 3 minutes, and I'll just do random fire question Q&A.
Just the rapid fire, just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, if you asked them already, and I haven't answered them yet, just ask again, because I'm just gonna go from where I see it go downwards.
Heard.
Yes, he said. Yeah, any like fringy value play that like you're not positive is gonna go at least 6x for you, unless like something weird goes up, happens. Just get off it, because just hone in on the strong value plays. There's too many of them now.
Yeah, there is. The guy. Yeah, I agree with that. If the guys you were on the cusp with, it's at this point, it's really hard to justify doing it.
Like Cam Johnson, right? Yeah, he was a nice option. He's 3 Phoenix shorthanded, but he could also get a 14.
Yes.
No reason to even take that risk. You don't need it. We have just lock city kind of value out there.
Agreed. Agree with you there, bro. Monk in the trunk. 9 minutes to lock, nation. I think I just need one more crunch. One more upload, one more crunch, and I'm good to go, I think. And then I'll hop in there with you. We'll do dirties. Didn't intend for the show to go this way, but when you got an 11-game slate and a shit ton of news that breaks out all at once, but like Paulie said, you're on some real shit. It's better we know it and can make the adjustments.
Yeah.
Than not know it at all and get screwed or get hit like right before lock where you're really screwed, especially for the FanDuel peeps out there with no late swap. For show.
How much Dame Lillard are you playing?
I'll tell you in a couple seconds as soon as I'm done with this crunch action. But a lot though. He's definitely a lot. 6. I'm looking right now in the 60s.
That's where I'm at, 63. Ali.
Let's do it.
You like Ilyasova?
Kind of, just for the simple fact that people are bailing on him. But at this point, I mean, I got too many guys ahead of him now. But I did have some interest before. I was like trying to be creative with how I could work him in without doing anything obnoxious to his minutes or anything. But
Right.
now I just don't see a need. Like he's at a position where we got so much out there. Marvin Williams is there, and there's just between center and power forward, there's so much. On FanDuel, he's 4,100, but even there, check the L is 3.7. You know what I mean? And now PJ's in a phenomenal spot. Probably going to play a lot more center today.
Six minutes to lock.
6 minutes to lock. How much D'Lo are you getting? Are you getting to at this point?
I'll tell you in 10 seconds, but it looks like I'm getting like 43. 43. Yeah.
43 on him.
Yeah.
Five minutes to lock, nation. 5 minutes to lock. Is D'Lo point guard only now? Shit, I didn't even notice that.
Neither did I.
All right, 5 minutes to lock. This is the last crunch, and then I'll do the rest after lock. What are the first games anyway? We've got Atlanta's one of the first games. Atlanta, Cleveland, Detroit, Orlando are the first two. So get them out the way. They're exposees.
Yeah, just a quick note, like Cleveland's been by far the most generous team in allowing fantasy points. So they could get a few shares of like Collins and Trey Young's
Yeah.
running back from Dog Millionaire because
Oh yeah.
I'm uploaded. So questions. Go. Like button if you can. Thanks Chuck Dan for hollering on that. I'm gonna go back just a little bit. Oh, right here. What are your thoughts on Devontae Graham Russell stack now? I absolutely love that. Dan Kephart. Timo Green Gaming says have to lock in Oladipo in one line every night. Yeah, that's not really locking him in, but yeah, play him in a line because he is going to smash burger one day soon. Bojan from Jazz for GPP. Yeah, absolutely. They're down a key usage guy. Clarkson a go tonight. Absolutely. Timo Green Gaming said Vucevic. My research did point to him a lot. I wasn't in love with his price, but you can afford any stud you want now, so I do like Vooch. Kuzma play now. I don't see why, that feels like a fringy thing you don't need to do today. Biyombo Wiggins or Chris Bridges, FanDuel. I can't get into playing Biyombo today. Just so much better value. Russell or Graham, FanDuel. Good question. I say Graham. What you thinking about it?
I'm just waiting for this shit to finish so I can upload my shit. I got the 3 minutes left, so my heart is starting to race just slightly. Not massively, but slightly.
But, yeah, in one more minute it'll
start racing hard, yeah.
Let me check the WiseTake chat. But rank Diallo, Washington, Dedmon, and Nance. So for me, it would go Diallo, Dedmon, Washington, Nance. Who has a higher ceiling between those two if you have to choose one? Reed and Nectat. First of all, you can absolutely play them together. And Reed probably has the higher ceiling, but Nectat goes 7-8x today more consistently and has more guaranteed minutes. Although I think both of them definitely get the minutes. Lillard, McCollum, Morant, Joval, or Booker, Oubre, Bridges, Diallo. I want like a blend of those, like Lillard, Oubre, Morant. But I'll take the Lillard team, LD. 1.5 minutes to lock. Nation. Let me see what my exposures do look like. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's do that dirty.
30 to the neighbor.
Dame Lillard, 64. Devin Booker, 40. James Johnson, 38. Monte Graham, 38. Nas Reed, 33. Dylan Brooks, 29. Where is Malik Monk? I got to jack him up way higher.
Well, how much did you end up with?
How much Monk did you play?
Like 50%.
Yeah. I like that.
Malik the Freak.
I'm gonna have to do him after lock.
Yeah, that's the beauty of DraftKings. You just got to make sure that your first ones are out the way. I got to do the same thing with Nas Reed. I got to get a little bit more of him. I don't really have enough. I was surprised. I was worried it was going to give me too much, and then it didn't give me like any. It gave me like 10%. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? So I'm just going to wait till we get the late swap feature to do it because I'm not going to get the crunch in time. Tough one, Nation. Last slate of the day. It's got to be a wild one, of course. But, I mean, you can kind of say we anticipated this to a degree, being that after this game, most of these guys, pretty much all these guys are off for a whole week. So, it makes sense. Wish you guys the best of luck as we approach lock. Dirties will be done. If you get some screenshots, share them with us, man. We want to see them. Hit us up on Twitter. Whatever the case is, we'd like to see the screenshots. We'd like to see you guys win. So hit that like button if you haven't already. We appreciate you. Enjoy the projections. Good luck. Hopefully you guys do well with it. And we are at lock, so that's gonna do it. So I appreciate you guys as always. Hit that like button. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. We will have a show tomorrow. It's obviously only a 2-game slate, so different feel to it, but we will have a show. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.
Peace.
Yeah.